Hi, Greg here. Today I wanted to show you my newest MOC. This is a Lego bird that I built using pieces from set 31002, the Super Racer. You saw this creator set in my last video, and this is the first MOC that I built from it, so let's take a closer look at it. This Lego bird MOC took me about an hour to build. I initially started with taking the Super Racer apart, and I just started putting pieces together to see what works best. I'm not really sure what type of bird this turned into. I'd say it's like a canary or a finch or a parakeet, something that you'd have inside your house, one of the smaller type birds. And this thing went through several different iterations before I finally came to the final bird, which I really love. I really think I should start documenting how I go about my process. I kind of just start taking pieces and putting them together, and it starts out very rough, but then eventually forms into something that looks very much like what I was trying to make. I built this without using any photos or directions or anything like that. It's completely off the top of my head without kind of viewing anything, and I think it turned out pretty well. So I'll take you around the outside of this and we'll look at all the different angles and what I came up with. We'll start with the chest piece. That was the piece that really inspired me from the F1 Racer to make a bird. This had a lot of slopes to it, and I wanted to use something that would form into an animal that would be kind of curved. I didn't want to make something that was too boxy, and I definitely didn't want to make a vehicle. So a bird came to mind, and with the bright colors of this, I thought, why not try to make a white and yellow bird? And it worked out pretty well. So you can see the curved pieces that run up the chest, and it gets kind of wider as you go up to the top of the chest and then thins out as you get up to its head. Onto the head of the bird, you can see that it does have a small beak that's made of yellow with a white piece behind it. Its eye has the beady gray dot, which I was going to use one of the red taillights from the back of the car, but it looked really creepy when it was done, so I definitely didn't want to add that on. I think this looks pretty good for what a bird would look like. And then the top of its head is just a too wide flat piece that kind of works as creating something from the top and isn't quite connected in the back, but I think it looks good from this angle. The feet turned out exceptionally well. I didn't originally have plans to use the steering wheel components like I did here, but I think it turned out really great. The top of the feet are made using parts of the wing that's on the front of the car, and then I just put that onto these pieces that actually move. You can see from the bottom here how that piece that used the steering wheel moves like this. That actually came off, but they move, so I can actually, when I set the bird down, have it kind of leaning forward, which you can see there. If it's standing up straight, it becomes very back heavy. So having it leaning forward works really well, and that piece came in very handy for making that. And I like the stance that the feet have too. They were initially, when I made them, side by side, and I really like them kind of spread out because it gives it a distinction between the having two separate feet. And of course they move independently too, so if you wanted to, you could have one up and one down, but it only really works when the feet are positioned together like they are. You can see a little more of that tilted stance from the side. You can see how the bird kind of leans forward, and I think it makes it look more natural that way. It makes it look less like a blocky Lego and more like a real thing, and I think it works really well. Next, we'll take a look at the wing and how I came up with that. The wing is made up of an angular piece which was used on the back of the Formula One car, and I took a few more of those slants and I took a flat piece and kind of made the outside of the wing to give it a yellow appearance, even though I'm using mainly a white piece. And the wing itself can also move just like the foot, how it moves this way, and I'll show you how I came up with that. If you take this off, you'll see that gray circular piece positioned under there, and I put that right in the center here, which allows it a lot of flexibility in terms of moving it around. You can move this wing anyway, but I kind of think it looks best just where I had it positioned there. This bird really isn't meant to look like it's in flight. It's mostly going to look like it's just kind of positioned on a perch, and I think it works really well the way that it's kind of angled that way and looks really good for what it's supposed to be. Moving on to the back of the bird, you can see I used some slopes at the top to create some angle where its head is, and then it's pretty flat on the back with a tail piece that's made of white at the bottom. You can see a little more of how the wings are attached on the sides, and its two eyes kind of protrude from each side towards the top. If I move it a little bit to the side, you'll see how the back looks really nice, the way it kind of comes out where the neck would be and kind of thins out as you go down through its main body. And to see a little more of the tail piece, you can see it from the front down there at the bottom. It just kind of gives it a little bit of character towards the bottom of the bird and extends the back out a little bit. And that's a look at my Lego Bird MOC. This was a great addition to set 31002, the Super Racer. I think it was really fun to build, and I'm really happy the way it turned out. you don't have to just build what Lego tells you to build. You don't have to build four-wheelers and go-karts and things with tires. You can build an animal using the same pieces that come with the set. I only used a fraction of the pieces, and I could probably build something else along with this bird at the same time. I think I am going to end up keeping this together because I really love it, and I think it's just a perfect example of my creativity, and I'm just so proud of it. I hope you think that it looks good, and you'll have to let me know what you think. I plan to have plenty more MOCs here in the future and plenty more creator sets because I think these things are just fantastic. So thank you for watching my video, and I'll definitely have more up here soon.